Wow. I'd finally become a woman.
The story centers on Avery Hanson White, a high-achieving high school student who only pursues things she excels at, avoiding anything outside her comfort zone. With a record-breaking GPA and early acceptance to MIT, she prioritizes academics over social life. Unlike her peers, she has no interest in prom, insisting that STEAMCon, a prestigious STEM competition, is her version of the event, as she remains fully focused on academic excellence. At STEAMCon, Avery is tasked with creating an app to solve a personal issue in her life. After school, she meets her best friend, Larson, who has been her test subject since childhood, despite his lack of interest in science. Their friendship takes an awkward turn when Larson attempts to kiss her but gets punched instead. Though Avery seems uninterested in romance, it turns out she has a long-distance boyfriend named Casper. Avery met Casper at STEAMCon. When asked if she plans to bring him to prom, she dismisses the idea, stating that prom isn't a priority for her. Larson subtly tries to persuade her to attend with him, but she declines. Later, at home, Avery brainstorms and realizes there's nothing in her life that needs improvement, as she sees no weaknesses in herself. Shortly after, she receives a video call from Casper, who expresses his desire to take their relationship to the next level when they reunite at STEAMCon. Avery panics, and she immediately shuts down her laptop, as sexual stuff is the only stuff she knows nothing about. Avery was raised by three moms, who are Susie, Deb, who is renowned for her legendary art, and bonus mom Kim. Because of that, she has no one to turn to for advice on adult stuff with men. She then goes to mom Susie and tells her about her boyfriend's intention, telling her that she is also thinking about doing it. Later, she gives her advice, saying that sexual stuff should be messy, not to be perfect. Avery, determined to master adult matters, decides to create a smart app that will guide her through her first sexual experience with her boyfriend. She returns to her room, brainstorming how the app will help her navigate everything she's unsure about. After starting to program the AI and algorithm, she realizes that she needs more data to make it effective. The following day, she attends a sex ed class but is met with disappointment when the teacher refuses to help her. Feeling lost, Avery turns to her mom, Susie, for advice once again. This time, Susie offers her a copy of 50 Shades of Grey and other similar books to help her gain more insight. However, Avery isn't interested and rejects the offer. Susie then suggests she gather data from her friends at school, encouraging Avery to ask them about their experiences. Reluctantly, Avery agrees, hoping this will provide the missing pieces for her app and her own understanding of relationships. Avery begins interviewing several classmates for insights, starting with a cheerleader, a dancer, a bodybuilder, and an engineering student. However, none of them have any real experience or urgency about the topic, leaving her frustrated. They all suggest that Avery should talk to the school star, Danica McCallum, who is known for her knowledge of adult matters. After school, Avery gathers the courage to approach Danica, who shares a wealth of information, including her preferences and tips for navigating adult relationships. Danica advises Avery to find a partner to practice with, which Avery takes to heart. Later, Avery approaches Larson with a bold request. She asks him to help her practice at her house every day. This catches everyone in the room off guard. Larson, confused and hesitant, initially refuses the offer, reminding her that she has a boyfriend and has always friend-zoned him. Despite his reluctance, Avery continues to convince and tempt him, refusing to give up. After much persuasion, Larson, who currently has a crush on another girl, finally gives in and agrees to become her experiment partner once again. Though reluctant, he can't resist Avery's persistence and reluctantly agrees to help her explore adult topics, despite his own feelings and Avery's current relationship status. Shortly after, the two enter Larson's room, where he is instructed to follow a pre-established protocol outlined on a sheet of paper. Before beginning, Larson shares his belief that love is the key to being a good lover, but Avery disagrees, asserting that love and sexual matters are distinct. She then directs Larson to kiss her, which he does, while playing music to enhance the mood. They cuddle and enjoy the music, but eventually, Avery asks him to place his hand under her shirt. For the first time, Avery experiences intense pleasure from being touched by a man. However, when Larson oversteps, she chooses to leave the room. At home, Avery continues working on the algorithm for the application. The next day, she visits a potter and interviews her classmates to deepen her understanding of the male genital system. After gaining more insight into the topic, she becomes increasingly aware of its presence in her daily life. Everywhere she looks, it seems to be there, influencing her thoughts. Eventually, she returns to Larson's place, where she expresses her need to get hands-on experience by touching his things. True to form, Larson permits her to do so, and she carefully inspects everything. The scene shifts dramatically to a new setting where Larson plays the role of an astronaut preparing for launch. Meanwhile, Avery is busy fueling the spacecraft. After a moment, the spacecraft takes off, and Larson erupts in excitement. He offers to return the favor to Avery, but she misinterprets his offer, responding that she needs to analyze the data instead. With today's experiment proving successful, Avery realizes there is still a gap in her data. She decides to seek guidance from Danica, who takes the time to teach her a more personal lesson. Danica suggests that Avery picture her object of desire to better understand herself, and through this, Avery begins to unravel new aspects of her curiosity. Following Danica's advice, Avery heads straight home and to the bathroom, where she uses the water stream to explore her curiosity. As she becomes more absorbed in the experience, the water temperature unexpectedly rises, forcing her to apply a cold compress between her thighs for relief. Just then, Larson calls to check in, advising her not to overthink something that happens naturally. Avery, however, decides to shift the conversation. She proposes having a dirty talk over the phone. Larson, eager to oblige, tries several topics in an attempt to turn her on, but nothing seems to spark her interest. It isn't until he starts discussing periodic tables and the accomplishments she could achieve after graduating from MIT that Avery becomes engaged. She is fascinated by the topic until Larson casually mentions her victory at SteamCon. At that moment, Carlson enters the scene, holding the trophy she had won, completely shattering the mood and deflating the moment. It's 8 days remaining before SteamCon, and Avery tries to interview several classmates during the math class. One of the classmates, Frank, talks about erogenous zones in a very specific way until a woman sitting in the back, Marla, randomly offers to pleasure herself to prove the discussion. The teacher eventually is distracted by them, but it seems like the students manage to disguise the adult topic into mathematics stuff, which makes the teacher very happy. Meanwhile, Marla keeps doing her stuff until she reaches the peak and screams in happiness. After class, Larson and Avery rush to his place to put Avery's new knowledge into practice. Larson takes on the role of an explorer, descending into a narrow, colorful tunnel while occasionally brushing his hands along the walls. Avery is thrilled by the experience, and the excitement builds when Larson discovers a door that transports them to a swimming scene, much to Avery's delight. She decides to name her app Sex Appeal. Larson, eager to take things further, suggests escalating their activities, but Avery insists on maintaining a professional focus on the experiments, leaving him disappointed. Undeterred, Larson theorizes that chemistry occurs when love intertwines with sexual experiences, but Avery disagrees, firmly stating that love has no connection to sexual acts. Avery compiles all the necessary data and completes her application just in time. The night before STEMCon, Larson approaches her with an invitation to visit the Science Museum, but as expected, she declines. Curious about her feelings toward him, especially after all they've done together, Larson presses her for an answer, but Avery's response leaves him disappointed. With no further persuasion, he decides to go alone, even though he has 2 tickets. The following day, Avery begins to notice a shift in her feelings toward Larson, though she quickly denies it. After Casper's presentation, they head straight to the hotel room, where they start experimenting with the suggestions from her app. However, despite following all the instructions, Avery doesn't feel the same excitement or enjoyment she once felt with Larson. The experience doesn't match the one they shared before, and soon, Avery decides to stop. She leaves the room, unsure of what has changed but sensing something is different. At that moment, Avery realizes she has fallen in love with Larson. The next morning, she decides to withdraw from her presentation, understanding that the application didn't work the way she had hoped. As she walks off the stage, tears fill her eyes, and this automatically leads to Casper's victory in the competition. Later that evening, Avery visits Larson, only to find that he has grown tired of her broken promises. He tells her he's done waiting for her to change her mind about him. Larson finally comes to terms with the fact that Avery doesn't care for anyone, least of all him. In a bittersweet moment, he admits that he's relieved he didn't sleep with her, recognizing now that she wasn't ready for anything more than what they had. After reflecting on their interview, Avery finally comes to believe that love and sex are deeply intertwined. The following day, Kim encourages Avery to speak from the heart and be honest with Larson. Avery, feeling conflicted, interrupts Larson's music practice and confesses that he was right about love and sex. However, her admission only makes her appear foolish, and Larson feels compelled to escort her out of the room. Avery finally reveals her true feelings for him, but it's too late. Larson has already moved on. Feeling rejected, Avery asks Larson to prom, but he turns her down, showing no interest. In a last attempt, she professes her love for him, but Larson walks away without saying a word. Devastated, Avery cries alone, but a teacher approaches her and offers a life lesson that helps lift her spirits. At prom, Larson happily dances with his new crush while Avery watches from the sidelines, once again alone. Despite the pain, she gains a new perspective on life, finding comfort in her own growth. This time, Avery understands that not everything can be controlled. She finds peace in Larson's happiness, accepting the situation as it is.